Hello everyone, this is Lori from Grammy's Keepsakes, and here we are in part 2 of my mass making series, and this is what I've finished today, and we're going to go ahead and work on some more, but I attached the decoration for the cover, and this is going to be a fun little fairy book, and I decoupaged napkin and put a little image that coordinates with this one. And I colored the texture paste with acrylic paint and just used a stencil so you can feel the texture. And I put a napkin inside by way of Mod Podge. And then after it was dry, I stitched all the way around it. So we've got the 4 covers of this journal all ready to go. See how it's hiding the information on the sample? And this one doesn't have any texture paste at all. It's just a collage. So we'll put this book aside and let's get started on the next one. So we have our woodland one. Put the cover aside. And in part 1, we used the texture paste. Here's the other one. Sorry about that. That was white. I did not color it, so we need to paint these two. And these two, I did color them. So these are ready to go. Napkins next. Put those aside. So let's go ahead and paint. And I'm going to use just a cheapy set of watercolors. And I find that they work just fine with this. Get my water cup. And we have a little butterfly and 5 trailing butterflies that we're going to paint there. So choosing the color is always the hardest part for me. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Let's start off with kind of this brown mustardy one. So I'm just giving it a base. I'm not being careful at all. The texture paste holds the color really well. Now we can introduce another color. And it just lets it flow in together. And I'm going to use a little tiny bit of brown. Well, that really likes to run. Maybe what I'll do with the brown is after it dries. So let's go back to the yellow. I like to use more browns than blacks because it's not so stark. But that's personal preference. I'm going to put this aside to let these dry a little bit and then come back to it a little bit later. And this I'm going to do a little bit different. Where the butterflies, I was trying to pretty much hit the butterfly. Here we're just going to watercolor all the way through it. And I like this green. Make sure we get enough water. And I'm just giving it a wash. After this watercolor dries, then I will do the napkin on the inside of this. But we've got the others to put the napkin on, so I can show you that process. And I just like to be nice and sloppy. Then we can introduce another color and let it run with it. And I just like to use a lot of water. Bring more of that sage in. Okay, we'll just let those dry. And then we'll put the napkins in these. Let's move the water cup. Set these aside to dry where I won't put something on top of them. So they both have a little bit of writing on the bottom. And one of the fun things to do is to go ahead and use your stamps also. And here I've got some big leaves. Get a block. And this is woodland, so this is a perfect stamp. Let's grab a different one. I like to mix it up a little bit. Okay, let's give this a try. Let me grab a baby wipe. I always get ink on my fingers. Okay, move these. I get really messy. Let's move a lot of stuff. Okay, let's try some napkins on for size. And I have a stack of them here, all ready to go. Where they're big like this, if the stamp or the wording is too much, I like to just cover the whole thing. So that's what I saved that for. So let's just look through. I think that might be nice. Oh, but I have some owls here. No, let's go with the birds. And I have my water pen. Go ahead and rip that apart. Get that nice soft edge that way. Okay, so I'm going to go like this with it. So I've got a bunch of Mod Podge in my little cup. I think my brush was out of the glue for too long. I have to give it a good soaking tonight. Oh yeah, it was. Let me throw that in the water and we'll grab a new brush. Lining it up with the bottom and the edge. my ink wasn't dry yet. And I did stick my fingers in it, didn't I? So I'll have to fix that. And after it's all dry, then I can go and do any trimming of napkin that's over the edge and stitch around it. But right now, let's fix that inking right there. And grab a small ink pad. It must be packed up. Okay, we'll use the big one. After it's all dry, then I'll go back in and put some more script here and there. Because I think I have another script stamp that isn't on a wood mount. I just can't put my fingers on it at the moment. So I'll go back in and do that. But let's put this aside to dry. And let's play with this one. And you can use napkins or you can use tissue paper. Let me grab some tissue paper. We don't have to cover the whole thing, but why not? This will work. Let's just go ahead and do that so you can see how tissue paper works. And I like to do half at a time so that it doesn't get too dried out. The tissue paper is a little more durable than napkin is. Oops. There we go. My rough hands. Then I'm going to go ahead and trim it out. That would be fun to use for decoupage or collaging also, wouldn't it? Okay. And then we'll let that dry, and then I can go in and do a little bit more trimming and do some distressing along the outside, I think, too, and sew around it, of course. But I've got a couple others that we can work on. Put that to the side. So we've got this butterfly journal and the wallpaper signature covers for that. We have this one with the colored texture paste. Quite a bit of writing. This one, little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit. Okay, I like to kind of get an idea so that I know what I want to do, or to get an idea. So we're going to go with this one first, and find some pretty napkins. Here we go. And this was that butterfly journal, so let's use this one. And then with the napkin, I like to go ahead and go over the top of it too. Making sure the edges are sealed up nice. And I'm going to wait for this one to dry completely before I do any trimming of it. Get under there and grab it up. And set this up out of the way. Okay, wipe off my glue. And this one I only need to cover this half. So let's find something fun. There's no butterflies on there though. Let's keep looking. This one's not quite wide enough. I always make sure that if I have any design labels on there, I get rid of those. Now, where does it crease? Maybe what I want to do is put this there. And then we can plot our strategy. Let's grab that pen and have some fun. Let's get this one. Okay, give it a rip. Dries clear, so I don't have to worry. Place that in the center on the fold and along the bottom. And they're very whimsical and bright, but it's the inside of the journal signature. So it's kind of fun to have something bright and cheery to look at. And it'll be toned down by the papers that I use, you know, the tea-dyed papers. And then I can go in after it's dry and distress it up a little bit too, to dull it down. But I think that's all we're going to play with today. I've got a couple others that I will go ahead and do off camera. But I want to thank you very much for watching and have a creative day.